just generally, I threw some cinnamon on there. I have some apples, and this is my Paschal yam. So my sacrifice, it's a yam. And I did find a little bit of lettuce. And yeah, and then for the bitter herbs, I used some celery tops.
Yeah, the other thing that we have is a beet. So often for the roasted lamb, sometimes I know most people don't have beets handy, but we actually keep a stock because we use them for different salads. So we have those in our fridge. For setup, we have candles here. You could use whatever you have. We have an Elijah cup that we have through our house, a Miriam's cup that we'll get to later, you know, whatever wine you can have. And we're going to go through the basics of the Seder. So maybe for right now, the very first thing I'm going to turn it over to Cantor. Whatever Haggadah you're using, see if you can find the page that has the Seder order on it. And I would encourage you to look for the Seder order. And Cantor, whenever you're ready, why don't you sing for us the order of the Seder?
I'm going to do it in Hebrew and English this year, a little bit different. Praise God for fruit of life, and you may drink one cup of wine. In song to disagree, break the matzah in between. All three boxes on the tray, take one piece to hide away. Read how God set Israel free, rescued us from slavery.
Beautiful. So I think we're ready to light our candles. So turn to the section where it says lighting candles. And we're going to do this as the first night as well. So here we bring in the Passover candles. And I'll turn it over to Cantor to recite the blessing. So just find the candle blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, b'tzivanu, leharik lev shel yom tov.
Blessed are you, God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us through commandments and commands us to light our holiday candles and to light our way during this difficult period in our world. We now turn to the Kiddush, the festival Kiddush. It's a little different than the regular Kiddush we have. If you have your first cup of wine, we encourage you to pour the first cup. I'm not actually opening it up, so I'm doing it pretend. Pour your first cup. Yours is so beautiful, Cantor.
We got you covered, Rabbi.
I have just water in it, but you don't need to tell anyone. All right, why don't you lead us in the blessing?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hakafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, v'romem Shana Benitzvata, Batitalan Eloheinu, Be'ahava, Moadir Simcha, Hagim, Uzmanim, Nesason, Et Yom Chag, Hamatzot Hazeh, Zeman, Zeman, Zeman Herutenu, Mikra Kodesh, 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 Zeman Herutenu, Mikra Kodesh, Zecher Yitziat Mitzrayim, Ivanu v'chartav yotam v'kidash mikol amim, u'moadei kodshecha inchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Yisrael, v'hazemanim.
L'chaim. We drink in the first cup in recognition of slavery, of degradation, of narrowness. Till we know the ways in which we are enslaved, we can never be free. We drink the first cup in honor of awareness. L'chaim. And we have the blessing for the very first day, the Shekianu, our first Zoom Seder.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'hidivanu lazman hazeh.
Amen. Praise be God, who brought us life, allows us to arrive at this time, and allows us to be present virtually together. L'chaim. So, Cantor, we are at the point of washing hands. We actually have 2 hand washings that happened during the Seder, and they were very vigilant about making sure that our hands were washed at any moment, which is something we could relate to. Cantor, would you like to say a little bit about how we could treat hand washing in this time?
20 seconds of washing your knuckles, your fingers, the backs of your hands, the tops of your hands, in between your fingers, 20 seconds. You can sing Mani Shana while you do it. Not all 4, all 4 stanzas, but Mani Shana halayla hazeh mikol halelo. That should do it.
I love that. Well, let's create a little video just of that. That's wonderful. I think also, because we have 2 different washings, it might be helpful to this year have sanitizer at your table for this first washing. It'll be a little bit different, but we can create new rituals out of this time. So we're going to turn now to the karpas. We already talked about our different versions of it. I have my cilantro and some spinach, I guess. So we're going to have our blessing. So find the blessing and whatever Haggadah that you're using for the Borei Peri Ha'etz. Let me just get to the right moment. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'adamah. Not ha'etz, ha'adamah. Blessed are you, Eternal One, our God, sovereign of all the worlds, who creates the fruit of the earth. And actually, I forgot salt water, but my wine is...
Oh.
You have it. Okay. Oh, you're good. So let's dip it in. And we'll take our bite of green, remembering the freshness of spring that's upon us. And also remembering the tears of this time, of the slavery of our being confined at this very time in our world. Okay, it's pretty good, actually. It's a new tradition. I have matzah over here. Cantor and I actually both are gluten-free. So this is the point in the Seder where we actually prepare for the Afikomen. So we open up, I have my Pesach cover here. And we have my gluten-free matzah. And what we would do is we would take the middle matzah over here. Matzah, it's funny, you have to break it in half, but it's always, matzah is always breaking on its own. So we break it in half. And of course, here is the Afikomen bag that my children made a number of years ago. I'm gonna put it in here and I'm gonna hide it. See if you can find it. It's under here, you didn't see anything. It's hidden suddenly, right? No one saw anything. So we're gonna bring that back at the end of the Seder, but we take a little bit to remember at the time when we get to the freedom. Okay, so we're ready for talking about the matzah, halach ma'anya. This is the bread of affliction. That should be right after the karpas here at the beginning. So see if you can find that in your Haggadah, whichever one that you're using. And this is the beginning of the Magid section, the storytelling. And I'm going to turn it over to Cantor for halach
ma'anya. Halach ma'anya di'achalu, achalu avahatana, bihara bihara di Mitzrayim, bihara bihara di Mitzrayim.
This is the bread of affliction, which our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are in need come and celebrate Pesach. Now we are here, next year in the land of Israel. Now we are slaves. Next year we will be free. Of course, this moment is pretty sad because we can't open our doors and say it. But what I would encourage you to do is pick up your phones. That's our new door, our new doorway to the world that we have. And I would share your Seder with your friends, with your family, but also see if you could open it up. This is a Zoom service. That's one of many different options that you could use. And see if you can welcome people in, particularly ones that might be more isolated. So at this point, we would invite the kids over. And I would invite my own kids, but they're in the middle of watching cartoons, so they don't interrupt here. So I'm going to turn it over to Cantor for the Ma Nishtana.
הזה, שתה ועמים. הלילה הזה, שתה ועמים. שבכל הלילות אנו עובדים, בין יושבים ובין מסובים. בין יושבים ובין מסובים. הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובים. הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובים. You know, Rabbi, I'm tempted to sing the English one that I just put together.
Well, if go for it. Love to hear
it. I have to go get it, so go entertain them for a minute.
So we have the 4 questions, which are actually the most basic questions that are supposed to be asked, and they're given to the youngest child because the youngest child is least embarrassed to ask questions. And the questions, which are from the Talmud, pertain to why do we have matzah? Why do we have maror? Why are we dipping twice with our karpas? And also, why are we sitting on pillows? But those are just really the basic questions. And as Cantor gets ready, I would just say, ask your own questions. This is a time of questions right now. And it's okay to ask questions. We certainly have many more questions right now than any kind of answers.
This is called On This Night. Why is this night like no other night? Like any other night, like any other night. On this night, we eat matzah. Halayla hazeh, we eat matzah. Why is this night like no other night? Like any other night, like any other night. On this night, we eat bitter herbs. Halayla hazeh, we eat bitter herbs. Why is this night like no other night? Like any other night, like any other night. On this night, we dip parsley in salt water. Halayla hazeh, we dip parsley in salt water. Why is this night like no other night? Like any other night, like any other night. On this night, we rest like we're kings and queens. Halayla hazeh, we rest like we're kings and queens.
Oh, that's beautiful. It brings up a question. Where did that melody come from? It's so addicting, isn't it?
It is. It's a real, it sticks to your ribs.
Yeah. It's one of those kind of things. I never had that question, but now I did. So we're going to turn to the 4 children, and I'm just going to read from the Reconstructionist version. We have these 4 different children that there's different questions that occur, different retellings of the Passover story that are in the Torah. And it always says to teach the children, which is so important. And so we have the 4 children, one who is wise, one who is wicked, and one who is simple, and one who doesn't even know how to ask. So I'm going to read this reading from the Reconstructionist Haggadah. 4 times the Torah speaks about children in connection with the telling of the Exodus story, but nothing is said about the character of those children. Rabbinic Midrash views these passages not as simple repetitions, but as representing different types of children. There are 4 verses in the Torah that imply 4 types of children. wise, wicked, simple, and one who does not know enough to ask. Yet we all know no child is all wise, all wicked, all simple, or incapable of asking anything. All different points in our lives, we have been all of these children, one who is eager and hostile and passive and bewildered. We've asked the cleverest of questions. We have challenged provocatively. We have simply wanted to know the answer. We have been so confused that we could not speak. We have all been all of these children, one who is aware, alienated, direct, and silent. And here's just the picture they have. There's some wonderful, wonderful different versions of what it means to be for children. I especially like the Noam Sion Haggadah, which has about 8 or 9 of them. And if I could get in my office, I could show you. So we are now ready to tell the story of Passover. And I brought with me some helpful things over here. I was looking for my Pharaoh's, I have a Pharaoh's hat, but I couldn't find it. I think it's at the synagogue, but I brought a crown. That's one thing I have here. I have a beast. Let's see, what else? I have Elsa's hair, which has got to be good for something. I have a wizard. Yeah, these are all, we have so many costumes, it's crazy, 3 bins. This is for the magicians at Pharaoh's court. I have another beast that we could share. Oh, I thought I also brought Darth Vader. So there's many different ways. We encourage you to tell your story however you want. We'll do it kind of in brief. Maybe Cantor and I will share a little bit. So it starts off in Egypt. Of course, it begins in slavery. The Pharaoh doesn't know, doesn't remember Joseph and all that Joseph had offered. And so he puts our people into slavery, which gets worse and worse as the fear. We know the fear of the outsiders today, particularly during this pandemic. There's definitely a fear of things that are unknown. And that was a fear that took over Egypt. And we were made to build the storehouses until, of course, God called on Moses. Do you want to tell a little bit about what Moses did in brief, Cantor?
Sure. When Israel was in Egypt land, everyone, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stay. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell no Pharaoh, let my people go. Thus said the Lord, oh Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll smite your firstborn dead. Everyone, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell no Pharaoh, let my people go. Oh, come along, Moses, you're not getting lost. Everyone, let my people go. Stretch out your rod and come across. Let my people go. Everyone with feeling. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell no Pharaoh, let my people go. As Israel God's command, it did divide. Everyone, let my people go. The feeling, go down. Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell no Pharaoh, let my people go. Last verse. When they reach the other shore, let my people go. They sang a song of triumph for, let my people go. This is your last chance, everyone. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell no Pharaoh, let my people go.
I love it. It was perfect. So we've reached the part of the Seder where we are talking about the plagues. And before we list our actual plagues right now, it feels like we're in one of those moments that we will relate. I talked just recently to people at one of the local nursing homes, and they are really confined in their homes in a terrible way. And they told me how there was a blackout in the building and the facility for some 6 hours, and how scary it is. And so we can relate to so many of these plagues in new ways. We understand about wild animals. This coronavirus started through animals' transmission to people. So it's really, we're in those moments. There's sometimes where the ancient tradition feels so much like it's happening right as we speak, as if they were speaking to us. So before we go over the plagues, I actually have my box of plagues here. We have so many of them. Here's one of my favorite. These are masks that you wear. And this is frogs. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. So you can see if you have. There's a frog. I'm sure Cantor, you must have done this. Oh, I have an actual frog here from another. We had so many boxes, it's crazy. Here's an actual frog. Those are always fun. Actually, Ashira went, for those with kids, and she made a, she went outside and drew little steps for the kids to do so they could walk through different plagues. But what we traditionally do, and by the way, also here is the crossing, the blood in the water also. You can make these on bottles pretty easily. So what we usually do is we take a little bit of our cup of happiness, and we have drops that come out of it to remind us that even though we made it to freedom, that this was very, very hard on the Egyptians, actually. And we remember what it was like. So turn to your 10 plagues. This is the one in the open door Haggadah. See if you can find it. And given what's going on today, maybe it's better to use a utensil. I actually have a spoon here when you're dropping out the plagues, and you would put it onto your plate. I just have water for mine right now, but each time we say it, just take a little bit of your happiness out. Dam svardea kinim aro dever shechin barad arbe choshek mekat begarod, blood, frogs, lice, wild beasts, cattle disease, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, the death of the firstborn. I think especially that last one with the angel of death coming over the whole community and us feeling helpless against it. It's really, really strikes home at this time, and really makes this even more serious. While we're having fun, we understand how serious this moment is right now. So we're ready for the symbols of Passover. And I think we have the most of the regular ones. First, we have, it says in our Haggadah that you have to say the 3 key symbols. This is a holiday which is very visceral. We eat our items. So the very first one is the Pesach lamb. And Cantor, I don't have a shank bone. I think you had one there. Can you hold up your shank?
I have a Paschal yam.
A Paschal yam. Oh, it looks like a shank's bone. Okay, so Rabban Gamaliel said the Pesach reminds us that the Holy One passed over the houses of our ancestors in Egypt. And now we are ready for the matzah. I'm going to hold up my matzah. We eat matzah. Why? Because we remember they baked unleavened cakes in the dough, and they had taken out of Egypt since they had been driven out of Egypt and could not delay, nor had they prepared any provisions for themselves. We remember matzah also is the bread of poverty during this time where we are really restricting ourselves. This type of limit is a reminder of the harshness of this period. And lastly, we have maror. Here is my maror. You can see I barely made it through a quarter in a year. But this is Kelchner's horseradish. And we remember maror. Why? They made life bitter for them with harsh labor at mortar and bricks, and with all sorts of tasks in the field they made them perform. The Egyptians embittered our ancestors' lives in Egypt. And we remember the cruelty that is shown at this time and in this world. We eat it to kind of symbolically get rid of it too. And I think we are just about ready for the meal. Oh, first we have a little bit of Hallel. Is that what we're doing? A little Hallel?
Yeah, Rabbi, we have to do Dayenu. What would I say?
Oh, we forgot Dayenu, of course. Yeah, Dayenu. Where could we be? Yes. I was just with some residents today, and I sang Dayenu with them because it's enough already, right? We have to do Dayenu.
Kind of a segue from your bitter herbs and slavery, right? Here totally. We go.
Perfect timing.
With us.
Beautiful. It means so much more this year. All right, so we sing a little Hallel too. We're going to do just a little bit of it. Hodu Lashem from Hallel, and we do Hallel to celebrate.
So Rabbi, you know this is like a 2-part thing, right?
Oh.
One group stands up and the other group stands up when they say certain words. Like one group stands up when they do a certain part of the song, and then a different group stands up when they do another part of the song. Do you know this one, Rabbi?
No, but I'll learn it with you.
Oh, okay. So you're going to be the Hodula Shem.
Okay.
Okay? So whenever we sing Hodula Shem, right, you stand up. And when I sing hallelujah, 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 I'm standing up. Okay? So how about I'll kind of like stand up weird when you're supposed to stand up for the first time, just so we can show how it goes. So you guys over there in your seders or wherever you are, break yourselves up into, some of you guys are going to be the Hallelujah team, and some of you guys are going to be the Hodu Lashem team. So we stand up when your part comes up, and then the other team stands up when their part comes up. So here we go. This is me now. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. There we go. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Hodu Lashem.
Come back up.
Hodu Lashem.
Hallelujah.
Hodu Lashem.
Hallelujah.
Hodu Lashem.
Hallelujah.
Hodu Lashem.
Okay, that was a practice. So now let's try to do it in real time. Here we go.
Okay.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Hodu Lashem.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Hodu Lashem. Hodu Lashem.
Hallelujah.
Hodu Lashem.
Hallelujah.
Hodu Lashem.
Hallelujah.
Hodu Lashem. That was fun. That was a lot of exercise. And my head got cut off by doing this. Great, wonderful. And I think we are ready now that we celebrated, we pointed everything, we're ready for the meal. We don't have a meal in front of you, but you do, but we're going to say the blessings over the different things. So first we need to wash our hands for real. So I'm going to turn it over to Cantor again to tell us about, oh, we forgot the second cup. We got to do the second.
Okay, Rabbi, I got some nice wine here, and it says second cup here.
Yeah, let's do that. Second cup. Pour your second cup of wine. And we'll turn it over to Cantor to lead us in the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'ri hakafen.
Amen. Bless you, God, who provides us the fruit of the vine. And I'm going to read you about the second cup. This is the promise of deliverance from servitude created in God's image. We never need to be subject to another's cruel will. As God promises us deliverance, so must we ensure the freedom of every human being. All right, we're ready for the blessing of the hand washing. And Cantor, do you want to share us the blessing and nigun with it? We already said about the doing the manishtana.
We thought that because of this era that we're in of hand washing, that you could actually, we would do a little nigun, like that's a wordless melody. You can actually get up from your chairs, wash your hands a little bit, and then come back, and we'll wait for you. We just 30 seconds. If you need more time, then you can put us on pause, and then come right back. But yeah, so we'll do a little manishtana over and over again with our hand washing. So everybody go wash your hands. You can't wash your hands enough during this time. Here we go. Manishtana halayla hazeh mikol halelut mikol halelut halayla hazeh Matzah, matzah, halayla hazeh kulo, matzah, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Blessed are you, God, who allows us to wash our hands and keep us safe and our families and our world safe. So now we are ready to eat, so that we have washed. And let us turn over first to our matzah. I'm going to lift our matzah again. Here's our matzah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. So we take in the matzah. I'm not going to eat, or I won't be able to lead the Seder. It's too crumbly for me. All right, and now we are ready for the bitter herbs, and it's tradition to put the bitter herbs on top of your matzah to do it together with the charoset. So I have my apple here. So this is a very heavy matzah, I'll tell you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror. And then we eat that. And then we also eat it all combined in the first Hillel sandwich. So at this point, this would be when you would eat your meals. So if you want to pause this, press us on pause for now. And we're going to keep going, but we'll catch you back on the other end of the Seder.
Come back, because we've got a lot of Seder songs, and we got a blessing after the meal, and Eliyahu HaNavi comes to visit us, and Miriam HaNeviah, and a very special 2020 Lishana Haba'ah for you. So come back after your meal.
And we have to find the afikomen. You didn't see that. All right, so we're gonna come back now. We're gonna pretend you ate your meal now, and we are ready now for the grace after the meals, the Birchat HaMazon. I'm going to teach you a really fast one that I've learned through the Reconstructionist movement. It's actually from the Talmud in Brachot. And it says, if you really only have a short amount of time, what do? And you say 5 words. Barich, say it with me, Barich, Rachamana, Malka, De Alma, Mare, Dehai, Pita, which means, blessed are you, God, who is the master of this bread, the pita, or in this case, the matzah. Brik rachamana malka de alma, mare dehai pita. Brik rachamana malka de alma, mare dehai pita. You are the source of life for all that lives, and your blessing flows through me. You are the source of life for all that lives, and your blessing flows through me. All right, we're ready for our 3rd cup of wine. So let's pour another cup of wine. Oh, you know what? We came back together. I think we needed to look for the afikomen. I held it up. Here it is. So if you have it, while we're doing this, since we did the grace after the meals, distribute it. And if you're giving out gifts or whatever you're doing, please go and do that. That's great time. Great fun, especially for the kids. But you can come up with new ways to do it as well. That's the safon. So we're ready for that 3rd cup of wine. I'm going to pour mine. And I'm going to turn it over to Cantor to light our 3rd cup. We're into freedom now.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Blessed are you, God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us with the fruit of the vine. And the 3rd cup, this is the promise of redemption. God's arms extend to all. None of us is beyond God's grasp. When we reach out to others, redemption begins. Ooh, that really hits close to home. So we are ready to bring in 2 visitors. I have over here my Elijah cup. Elijah is the harbinger of the Messianic age, but of hope. And we also have Miriam's cup full of water to also remind us. Miriam's cup is a little shorter. I'm going to put it inside there. So we're going to sing both to Elijah and to Miriam, trying to bring a little bit of hope in this time period.
And then we'll sing our Miriam Hanivia, Miriam the prophetess. Miriam Hanivia, Osesimra, Riyada, Miriam Tir Oditanu, Tehatir Simratona, Miriam Tir Oditanu, Tehatir Netavona, Imeva.
One of the things, beautiful Cantor, one of the things that I heard about doing like a virtual Seder is we should have lots of times for toasting. You shouldn't be drinking so often, probably. We have 4 cups, that's probably enough. But if people want to do little toasts during the Seder, you can do more than just 4. And we toast now with the 4th cup to a better world, to a time when we can be together, to ability to love and nurture each other, to health and to healing, to our doctors and nurses, to everyone out there, all the families, all the people we love. And we have the 4th cup of wine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei hakafel.
Chaim. This is the promise of covenant. As God has kept this promise for 5,000 years, so may we keep our commitments to others, building connections of justice and integrity. And it's during this time that we, if this is your second night Seder, or after the first night, that we would be counting the Omer, that period from Passover to Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks. We thought at this moment where we've been kind of counting down or up the days, it would be important to mention this. And hopefully by the time we make it to Shavuot, which is at the end of May, that we will be able to be together. But even that is unclear at this point. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Blessed are you, our God, ruler of the world, who sanctifies us with meats food and calls upon us to count the Omer. I'm just going to count the very first day. You can maybe create a new ritual. You can count from the times where we started in our homes more. You can count for wherever you are. Hayom Yom Echad LaOmer. Today is the first day of the Omer, bringing us hopefully closer to being back together. And I think that we're ready for the end of the Seder. And Cantor, you have a couple of songs prepared for us that are some of the more popular ones.
Did I say Shabbat table songs before, or did I say Passover table songs earlier?
I don't know. I think Passover. It gets a little confusing.
Only the tape will tell the truth. Adir Hu, the leitmotif of Passover. Please sing with us. It will be in the back of your Haggadah. Adir Hu, Adir Hu, Yifnei Beit HaMikvah, Bimheva, Bimheva, Yameinu Bekaru, El B'nei, El B'nei, B'nei Betecha Bekaru. God of might, God of right, we would bow before you, sing your praise in these days, celebrate your glory as we hear year by year freedom's wondrous story.
That is a very addicting melody. I do know that. I love that. It's one of my favorite. It's got to have been a drinking song at one point, right? And I think you have my absolute favorite next, which is Chad Gadya. Meh.
So, I try to never look at the words. Every year I test myself. And of course, I never give myself enough time to go through it, because before you know it, it's Passover, and it's even before Passover, and I have to record it or something. So we're going to do it. I'm not going to look at any words. I'm going to try to remember all the animals and all of the different characters that arrive in this song. And you just help me out there. Help me if you've got the Haggadah in your hand. It's at the back of the Haggadah along with all the Passover table songs. And it's in every Haggadah, I'm sure. But we're going to do it in English.
That's a lot of words.
That's not even it. It's a lot of words, but it's still Adir Hu. Either way. Okay, here we go. Chad Gadya, that my father bought for 2 zuzim. A Chad Gadya is one kid. When I say kid, I mean like a baby goat. I don't mean one of our little children, our little special little ones around us. Here we go. Chad Gadya, that my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya. Then came the cat that ate the kid that my father bought for 2 zuzim. Gadya. Then came the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid that my father bought for 2 zuzim. Gadya. Then came the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate father, one for two, Susie, and where was I at? Was I at the border? Ox.
It's the butcher.
Oh, the butcher. The butcher that slaughtered the ox, that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burned the stick, that feed the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid. And my father fought for two, Susie, then came the angel of death, who frightened away the butcher, who slaughtered the ox, that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burned the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid. And my father fought for two, Susie, then came God. Blessed be she who sent away the angel of death, who frightened away the butcher, who slaughtered the ox, that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burned the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid. That my father fought for two, Susie.
Amazing.
Who did this with me? Yes, you did? Good.
All you need is a hula hoop while you're doing it. So we have reached the end of our Seder. We're so grateful that you came with us, that you joined us on this journey. We hope that you get a little sense of Passover. We hope this is a comfort to you. And we hope that you share us what your Passover was like. You can email or message or call. We're sending lots of love and prayers your way as we conclude our Seder. We have first the blessing at the end of the Seder, and then a special version of Lashana Haba'ah. Our Seder is complete, the ritual fulfilled. Tonight we passed through ancient doors and made our way towards freedom. Nourished by story and song, we joined our ancestors in praise. Memory opened our hearts. Hope was sweet upon our tongues. May we enter these doors again next year in Jerusalem. L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim. And Cantor, you have a different version of this, I think.
We're going to do the classic version, then we're going to do the 2020 version.
Oh boy.
L'shana haba in Seders together. So that next year, next Pesach, we will be together doing everything the way we used to be and celebrating Passover together in our large communal Passover Seders. So here we go. The first one is L'shana Haba'ah, next year in Jerusalem. And then the second one is L'shana Haba'ah in our Seders together. Next year, the coming year, together. L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, B'Yerushalayim, L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, B'Yerushalayim, L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, B'Yerushalayim, L'shana L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, in Seders together. L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, in Seders together. L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, in Seders together. L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, in Seders together. L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, L'shana Haba'ah, in Seders together.
Happy Passover, everyone. I hope it's a wonderful one.
And good health to all.
Good health to all. All right, see you later.